I'm going to do a roundup of all the UK comics that I've got related to superheroes. Black Hawk is sort of fitting into that. And I haven't actually got many. I used to have thousands of UK ones. Mighty World of Marvel, Spider-Man Weekly, the Avengers Weekly. I used to buy them. All terrific, fantastic. And I got rid of them over the years, of course, as probably most people have. So here's the first one. Now I got this one at the weekend, actually, as usual. It's got some scribble over there. And Ireland of the Giants. It's a bit of a slightly confusing title because it says Black Hawk. Now Black Hawk does feature in it. You've got some great, beautiful artwork there, Black Hawk. But it's also got lots of other stories as well. So it's not just solely Black Hawk, probably ACG and those sort of ones. Atom Detective. No idea. Some of them, of course, may even be British ones. I have no idea on that. The Underworld Sorcerer. Sometimes the font often gives away. I think that's definitely an ACG, I would suggest. However, it's also got some great adverts. It's got Mad as well, Crazy Mad. And I think that's 1960s, 1960. This one, Creepy World. Of course, these were Alan Class ones. I had loads of these. Used to turn up in my local newsagent, and I used to read them quite a lot. I was actually always would sit there and just read them constantly, more than actually buying them. Maybe that's why they never continued. However, I loved them. Creepy Worlds, and this one obviously is obviously 6p, so you can see it's slightly later than obviously the ones that were earlier when they were in the old money. And obviously this one's in 1 shilling. Now I'm not certain if the Creepy Worlds were 1 shilling or something. I assume they were. I'm not certain, can't remember. However, I haven't got any now with the old price. So Black Hawk, The Return of Lady, and again exactly the same as before. You've got some lovely Black Hawk stories there. And again, this one I got the latest Comic Mart I went to, but it's got other stories as well. And again, probably ACG as well. Though this one here, They Called Me a Martian. Could be anything, I don't know. It never gives much of a clue, so it's always hard to work out there. Another one, Creepy Worlds. Love this. Of course, any Ditko ones, always great to pick up Ditko ones. So that's another. Now this one, picked up a few Titans as well this weekend, and this one, Titans. I always loved the Titans comic. There was, like I say, loads of them, but they went for this format at some point, and this is probably about 1976. Now I don't know if they were. So this is weekend in 1976. They must have started about 1975. This sort of format, which was slightly odd because they went for this, a 2-pager. So you had sort of it was quite good because you could have quite a decent amount of story, especially some of them like Submariner, where quite a few of them obviously were only like 10 pages anyway. So you actually had the full story that would have been in Tales to Astonish. Always loved the adverts. You had there the Time Machine, Jekyll and Hyde, the old classics. Now this is one of brilliant. I love this one. Look at that. You've got Doc Ock battling away against the Gladiator. I mean, what a weird mix. Why did they put these posters in? I don't know if anyone put them on their wall. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Molecule Man. Also, you got game. What's he against Doc Ock for? You got Mordo versus Loki. Now that would have been a real classic comic if they'd gone for that. I always loved. Oh, of course, they had a classic, brilliant storyline there of Captain Marvel. Now I don't know if it was. No, it wasn't the full. But they always did this as well. Why? Why did they do that? Especially gives you a sort of impression that it was the Hulk versus Captain Marvel. It wasn't. So it was the briefest of sequences, one sequence. That was it, the Hulk. But they always did that. Most odd. I don't know why they didn't split the page. Would have been making more sense. Of course, another one, Titans. They had a mix of stuff as well. So sometimes you had the Fantastic Four, you had Captain America. Then, of course, some other people would turn up in it. So it was a bit of a mishmash in stories. Wasn't always consistent, I don't think. AIM. So you've got I love those AIM stories. Cosmic Cube story. Hydra Lives. Of course, you had Nick Fury at that point. And again, let's have a quick look. Probably got a middle page. Yes, this one, Lizard. Again, versus. I mean, that's 4 pages. You could have put 4 pages of story there. They could have easily put in a sort of an old reprint from the 1950s or something on those sort of short stories. Would have made much more sense than putting that. Also, the covers always baffle me. You had Titans there, Fantastic Four, Titans, and then that. Why didn't they split to like show all 4 or 5 of the different characters that were turning up cross? That would have made much more sense. And again, you've got another one of these sort of spreads that really sort of made. Well, at least that one is a Jack Kirby one. It's not so bad. But actually, the artwork is still very crisp. That's the thing I love about these old black and white ones. You can actually get some very, very nice artwork. This one there, you got again Titans. But however, again, let's have a look. This one's probably got another one. The Day of the Tiger Shark. Also, of course, got letters pages. I always love the letters pages. That's that one. Sure. But then also you had this as well, Spider-Man. Now there was loads of them. There was so many. There was Future Tense, Rampage, so many of these comics that Hulk Weekly. I lost track actually after a while. Probably is the reason why I stopped buying them. I was quite happy with the sort of the US ones, but the UK ones became so complicated titles, and I just didn't follow the stories in the way that. Then you've got the Invaders in this one as well. So Invaders turned up. Oh, Captain America, lest we forget. Great little story there. Jack Kirby, one. Odin dies. So you've got Thor in this one. So it was a right mix. Iron Man at the back. So you were getting Marvel cut-ups are coming. This is one. Great chance to control the action in a dramatic scene from a Marvel story. Reprint. Oh, interesting. Must admit, I can't recall what happened there. You get the figures of Spidey and Green Goblin, so you can make up your own comics. Great stuff. Of course, brilliant one there. Death Trap. And also a lovely, look at that, lovely on the back. Merry Marvel Christmas. I love Christmas ones. Christmas ones are always great. But you think they could have put some Christmas stories in. No, I don't know why they didn't do that. Why, look at Daredevil. We've got a nice spread there of Daredevil. But why they didn't run some Christmas stories in the Christmas week one. Instead, not the flow of the stories, just put some Christmas ones in instead. Would have been so much nicer. But you have got that. But look at the Hulk. I love the Hulk there. That is such, and even Planet of the Apes in the back. And of course Captain Britain and Man-Thing. What a weird mix. Not a single of the characters really in this. So, most odd. The Atlantic Crossing, I don't know, obviously some game of some sort, and you've got another Shocker versus Spidey. You've got some other complete nondescript story, Death at 20,000 feet. Brilliant. A nice, of course, Luke Cage. At least that's a sensible poster. And again, I suspect in the middle of this one, you've got another Daredevil, which is weird. I mean, even weirder is that Daredevil actually does not appear in this comic. Daredevil is one of the characters that doesn't appear in this. You've got the Invaders again and so on, but no Daredevil. But they put a poster. The X-Men, and like I say, you just had Captain Marvel, Savage, Submariner. They were great stories. Titans again. I've got quite a few Titans. I picked up a load. They were all going for 25 pence. So I thought, why not? Let's just get a load of these brilliant ones. Oh, that's quite a nice one. So you've got Doctor Strange there, bastarding away, and you've got Baron Mordo looking on, and Dormammu. Of course, they would do that, of course, wouldn't they? They'd all just stand there while old, probably one of the Lovecraftian villains was trying to destroy old Doc Strange there. But you've got the brilliant one there, the Long Journey Home, of course, issue 100 in the comics. And it would be nice if they'd actually included the comics. I would have thought some cross sort of selling would have been great in these. They could have put the covers like Marvel Collector's Items Classics, put the covers on there, and then people would go off and look for those, as well as, of course, getting the British ones. Didn't work that way, of course, but Planet of the Apes. Love these ones. Planet of the Apes are great. The thing I loved about Planet of the Apes was they always had my favourite, Power of the Warlock, or Power Warlock, I should say. And, of course, Bob Brown was the artist, but sometimes it was Gil Kane, who I always loved. I always loved that. Butlin's Super Jokers, and they also had they actually included the age, dress, that sort of thing. Wouldn't do that nowadays, but it was just great that they would always include these sort of things. But still, that was the time. Captain Marvel, that was great. I love these Captain Marvel ones. Not everyone liked the green Captain Marvel one, but I genuinely quite enjoyed those stories. They just appealed to me, I don't know. This one, obviously, Alien and the Amphibian. And you got another Apes Forum. I'm not certain what the story was in this one. Oh, this was Escape. Probably, yes. Escape from the Planet of the Apes. This was the continuing adaptation of Escape. Now, of course, they were in the original Planet of the Apes comics that we also had the American ones as well. I bought a few of those at the time. This one's a great one. I love this one. Got Harpy, which is great because she doesn't appear in the comic at all. That's the way they did these covers. I mean, you sell it. You put that big sort of cover on there. Man of Fear, obviously, at the top. And you've got, obviously, Betty there. But she doesn't actually, until I think probably near the end, where she actually turned. Does she turn up? I don't know. But it's just certainly 99% of... No, she doesn't turn up. Not at any point does she turn up as Harpy in the... Why put that on the cover? Brilliant Barry Windsor Smith, of course. I love that Barry Windsor Smith. It's one of the weirdest of comics. And this is even better. I love this bit. You got here someone buy, of course, their copy, mint copy, didn't look that mint, I must admit. But however, I'm not thinking it would be a 9.8 or whatever on the what's his name scale nowadays. But it's the comic containing the first ever Spider-Man story. One fan waves it. Doesn't probably wasn't going to be a mint copy after waving it around like that. But it's thumb on there to make sense. It's also got a little bit of a scratch there, I think. But anyway. But still, that would have been an issue to get. I would have loved to have got that one. That would have been great. And Mark Bolan was there as well. And also, Roy Wood. Wow. And I love also, you got the calendar as well. You can see the calendar there. On the move. And of course, you got the Origin of Marvel Comics book there as well. Oh, and they've got this on the back. I love these ones. Battle of the Century. Wasn't the best of comics, but still a classic old treasure one. Don't often see many copies of that at comic convention. I can't say. Actually, I did pick up the 2001: A Space Odyssey one. I didn't buy it, but because they didn't put price on it, so I didn't buy it. I'm not one for buying stuff if it doesn't at least have some price on it. And but I do love treasury editions. However, anyway, that's by the by. Probably regret not getting that now. But POW number 79 and Wham. There's obviously at this point they joined forces because we had POW comic and we also had the Wham comic. So obviously at this point, but it did have other stories. Sammy Shrink. I love the way they put the logo there with the shrinking K there. Good stuff. But Frightful Four, that was a favourite of mine. Always a favourite. Fantastic Four versus Frightful Four. Always loved it. The evil FF, as they put. And of course Medusa. And you've got to see Medusa going down there. But it was always, at the time I didn't really realise, but they really messed around with looks like the layout of this thing. So it's not really in the form that because they obviously crammed a lot of panels in there. That I'm certain that wasn't the original. The original comic did not look like that. Anyway, but still. Also, you got here, win your own real hovercraft. Unfortunately, I don't think it was a real hovercraft, a real big hovercraft. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Of course, this was back in the 60s. People probably next to nothing, weren't they? 68. You got here, fantastic hovercraft must be won. World's first ever competition with prizes of a real hovercraft. Second prize was 200 working models of hovercraft. Bit disappointing, wasn't it, after that? However, New Jumbo, Kinky, had some really great names. Wool Shop, I loved those ice creams. They were great. Didn't do the teeth any good, but what? However, Tiddlers and the Doddles. Okay, whatever. And this one's 1968 as well. And Whamster, it was still this. And actually, oh no, it wasn't. Experiment X, Fantastic Four. And again, they messed around with a lot of these things. And you got here, Thrill to Maul, and you've got the Fantastic, an advert for the Fantastic as well. But there's some of these stories, and I mean, it's great that they are reprinting these sort of things now. You've got Rebellion and Treasury of British Comics, and you've got these ones. So I think this one is The Greatest Goalie Ever, your POW short story. Sort of thing that should be reprinted. I mean, they're great. The Two Faces of Janus. The Cloak, of course, classic ones there. Brilliant stories. George's Germs. Classic stuff there. What else one? Actually, see, you've got this thing, POW. There's sometimes, again, how they messed around with that. I am certain this panel structure did not exist in the original. I mean, so you might actually say it's an improvement of it. I don't know. It's an interesting way of doing it, the way that they've sort of got that. That was not. I'm going to have to look up the original one of the robot one, because that's near enough like a sort of Bernie Krigstein sort of panel structure, very thin structure, which is unusual. So still fascinating. Look at that one. You get a lot of panels on there. That's a lot of panels on the back. Another one, Wham. I don't seem to have any pals just on their own, but this time obviously got Amazing Spider-Man Goes Mad. And also the Battle the Super Apes. Inchman. Oh, that was an advert. Dinky Toys on the back. Strom Strange Solution. And again, you can see some of these ones. This is 1963. That was a 1963 one. Lovely old one. It probably was in the back section of an Atlas comic, but it was actually just done as a 2-pager. I imagine the original one was not 2 pages. It probably was about 5 pages. They've somehow really crammed it in that sort of time-honoured, let's get rid of a few panels sort of approach. And you've got Ben fails the fitness test. Well, that's probably not a good idea. No, I don't know. Not something I would ever enjoy doing, going up there. So news from Floor 64, and there's a brilliant magazine series that's called that, Floor of 64. I always love those. And this one's Experiment X, another British one. Great, actually the artwork looks really interesting. Again, they never put the names, so you've got the Experiment X there. So that's quite good. Also, Avengers. I love these ones. Now, this is the thing I love about the UK ones. 98, this is issue 98. Savage Sword and Savage Sword of Conan, so they include that. But you've got really great, I mean the Conan one is excellent, you've got the lovely artwork there, but also you've got of course Barry Windsor Smith, just absolutely super sharp quality, and that was the thing, the UK comics were slightly bigger than the US ones, so they really look good. And this one has a classic story, a Doc Strange one, which I always loved, sort of H.P. Lovecraft / R.E. Howard. I was never certain, but it was that sort of mythos of those stories. Some more Teen Titans, got Titans there. Titans seem to be a popular magazine that turns up quite regularly, and again very cheap generally. Still pick them up for next to nothing, and I'm just going to have a look to see. Coming soon. He's British, though that's very odd. Was that Captain Britain? I mean, I suppose it was actually, wasn't it? But it doesn't look like, it looks like they changed him a bit. Maybe that was the original form of what Captain Britain doesn't really look like. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I wouldn't have said that looked Captain Britain. However, you got here, the Mighty World Marvel, Hulk. I love all these big adverts as well. They'd always put a great advert there. But again, they always messed around with things, and this one's got Ghost Rider in. It threw everything in these. They just really did sort of, I think that's where I sort of got a bit all over the place with these stories. You got the X-Men in this one, and it's got this lovely advert on the back, colouring books and comic album. Love that one. I've got that one. I haven't got that one. But all it is inside is that. So it's basically a colouring book. I mean, they're great actually, but they sort of, I'm not certain, I assume they just did them from the US books because you've got obviously a panel, but it was quite well done. I mean, I don't know where that would come from. So it's possible that someone else drew that. Doesn't really look like Gene Conan, to be honest. But the other one just look a bit like a possible. You can always, when you look at them, you think, is that from an original comic or is that a drawing? Sometimes you can tell. Sometimes they're really well done, and I struggle anyway. This one's another one, Savage Action. Don't remember that one. Though obviously it featured some interesting one. It actually had Britain's own man of mystery. Wonder what happened. Night Raven. You got Dominic Fortune, Moon Knight, of course, gone on to a TV series, etc. And Punisher, also a TV series as well. This one's actually quite good. It's got Star-Lord in as well. So you've got Star-Lord. And also, of course, yet again, the Warlock. So Warlock, we did actually seem to have a bit of slight reprinting within the thing, because obviously the one with the earlier had Warlock, those stories. Paladin, remember that one, Paladin. Also, Concise History of the Galaxy. No idea what that was. And this one, Seeker. Oh, Seeker 3000. Wow. Yes, that's interesting. Here you got Seeker 3000. That didn't go anywhere in terms of... Now, wasn't it? I think there was some talk about something about Seeker 3000. So I think there's only like Marvel Premiere or something had that one issue, Seeker 3000. This one, 49 pence from Oxfam. Quite often find the odd things. And this one I love. Again, some brilliant artwork. Of course, Savage Sword of Conan, you've got all the Omnibus Editions now. But the one thing about this one is pretty good. He's got a brilliant artwork here of Frank Thorne's excellent, and I loved Red Sonja. Those Marvel feature and Red Sonja, the series of as well. Really great stories. And because it's in black and white, you've got real nice crisp artwork. Near enough like having an artisan edition, sort of. I hope they bring out those artisan. That would be nice artisan. This one, of course, has got good old Solomon Kane. Love the Solomon Kane stories. And also you've got some other bits on the back. Starburst. Oh, so I'm thinking about, I've got a couple of Starbursts. Maybe I should do those as well. They're good stories. Magazine. You got here Hulk, Rampage magazine. Oh, it's called Rampage magazine. I always called it the Hulk magazine, but it says Rampage magazine there. And the Savage Sword of Conan, of course, which is obviously advertising. Another one, and of course you got of course the character there. I mean, thoroughly enjoying the Boba Fett. Absolutely brilliant. I mean, I enjoyed the Mandalorian, but I have to say, actually, the recent one, Boba Fett was just brilliant. But I've just loved Boba Fett. just so much better for me than the other one. So, but each their own, I guess. Some people probably like the other one, but I've thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'm looking forward to the upcoming one as well. The others, there's quite a lot of things coming up. So, yeah. Savage Sword of Conan again. Oh, some more ones on the back. You've got Marvel Superheroes, Starburst again. What were they advertising? Oh, Carolyn Monroe. Isn't she on? I think they. Am I thinking someone else? Talking Pictures. They're doing the Talking Pictures one, Cellar Club. Isn't that Carolyn Monroe? Yeah, probably. I haven't watched any of them. So, however, you've got Stingray, you've got Alfred Hitchcock, you've got The Final Countdown. It's about Kirk Douglas's time travel movie. Oh, don't think I've ever seen that. Final Countdown. Oh, doesn't. Anyway, King Conan. I'm looking forward to. There's an epic collection coming out, or Chronicles, or whatever it is, of King Conan. That'd be great. Of course, this one, of course, is the Hour of the Dragon. But of course, which is available already in a complete collection. It's a very nice little collection. And again, you've got Red Sonja again. I love those Red Sonjas. Just really, really. And it's so sharp, the inking. That's the thing I love about these ones. They really, because they're bigger than the US ones, without the colour, you actually just thoroughly, just great artwork. Just really good. Love that. Some more ones. Savage Sword. I picked up a load. There was about 30 or 40 of them. And it's one of those things I think I should have bought the lot. Of course, I thought, oh, I'll go and buy them next day. Bad mistake, because they're always gone. Times I've done that, I should learn that lesson. Oh, I'll buy it tomorrow. But at least I bought about 6 or 7 of them. And they're great little stories. The Horror from Red Tower. And again, you've got some great little stories. But again, of course, now we've got the Omnibus Editions. You've got, portfolio of Robert E. Howard. Just great, obviously. And then a lovely Red Sonja there again. This one's John Byrne. Oh, John Byrne, wow. That's cool. I never realised that with that one. And this one, probably obviously a Conan one again, I assume. And you've got some more Conan. Yeah, a lot of Conan in that one. Now these ones, fantastic. I had all of these years ago. Regretfully, I got rid of them, like many things. But however, I at least kept this one, the X-Men, Thor and Iron Man first issue. This is 1967, it says on there. It's a big clue, isn't it? Saying there, number 1. February 1967. And again, absolutely great, lovely black and white, superb artwork. And I always just think that these are just great stories. The X-Men one, you've got Iron Man is born. Great little story there, of course, classic. I don't know if it was exactly the same as it was, obviously, the US one. And also, of course, we had our own Missing Link, which they just brought out. The Rebellion Treasury of British Comics, of course, have got that Johnny Future book with the Missing Link story. Absolutely classics. And you also, on the back, you had Powerhouse Pennants. I imagine that some people probably cut those out, totally ruining the book, but I'm not certain why you would want to cut them out, but still. Now this one was Avengers, very tatty one. This is, again, one of my original ones, Avengers Number One. So this is September 26th. Unfortunately, I got rid of my Spider-Man Weekly one. I love that Spider-Man Weekly. I don't know why I got rid of it. Anyway, that had Thor in. This one, of course, the Avengers. Avengers had been already running in the Mighty World of Marvel, and then they crossed over from the Mighty World of Marvel to their own comic. And this story, of course, was the classic Captain America, the one that was in the Avengers 4. And you had a great story, but you can, I don't think it was the crispest of artwork. Not compared with, it was because they sort of did all this dots. Which I don't know why they did that. Why they couldn't have gone, maybe they just didn't have the scans in the way. Maybe it was, I'm not certain what. Doesn't make any sense. However, of course, you have got the classic Doctor Strange here. And again, it's not the best of, not as good as sometimes some of the ones where they obviously really had really good ones to use. Origin of Doctor Strange. Now, this was done slightly different from the order that was in the US, of course, because in the US, you had issue 115 of Strange Tales, whereas, of course, Doctor Strange came out in the Strange Tales 110, and then you had a story that was just a nondescript story. Well, it was a brilliant story from Ditko with Nightmare, but still, didn't have an origin. So they had to obviously introduce the origin there. An answer, see, a bit confusing there. An avalanche of requests we present. Because, of course, why would you have avalanche requests for the origin in the first issue? Wouldn't make any sense. So they maybe should have removed that. Just slightly confusing. Though it didn't confuse me, I think, at the time. But still, where does he come from? I don't know. Guess so, somewhere. However, what have you got? terrific. I love this one as well. This was obviously 2 months after, or a month or so after the other one. Number one of the paper you demanded. Definitely demanded it. I didn't demand it. I didn't write a letter to him. I don't think I ever wrote a letter to him. However, did have the Avengers, had Iron Man, Doctor Strange again. What about the same? What Doctor Strange? It had the Doctor Strange. Oh, yes, exactly the same story. But there, you notice they've actually removed it. The Avalanche, etc. They've got rid of it there. So they messed around with a lot of these. They were always, whenever you look at these, and I don't know if anyone's done a sort of a study into, why would anyone do that? But I mean a study into all how they messed around with the British versions of the, I mean here, you've got here where they sort of gave nice little origins, the Teen Brigade. And also you had another origin here. They're actually well done, actually. I mean, the Mighty Avengers, Captain America there. I mean, it's just great. The Mighty Avengers, Giant Man. Of course, you had the Giant Man story. And of course, these stories would not have been known about, particularly, unless you were a regular Marvel Comics buyer. You wouldn't have known Tales to Astonish. Probably wouldn't have had Tales to Astonish issue 27. And all those sort of ones. Why would you? And issue 35, etc. Those sort of issues would have probably not been that common. They probably existed in London or in the seaside, etc. Who knows? But you've got Thor the Mighty. I love the way it changed everything as well. Thor the Mighty possessed the power of Thor. And of course they messed around with the panels again, so you had it all. And of course you've got Iron Man there. And this one, until the I'm a Champion of Champions is born. Yeah. You even got a transfer there, Iron Man transfer. And of course the Submariner story there that's been recently reprinted in the Marvel Epics. Marvel Epic Collection of Submariner. I hope they continue bringing out a volume 2 at some point. However, Planet of the Apes. And this always was great because you always had like good old pictures. And also you had articles. And again, Power of the Warlock. I love Power of Warlock. Great, brilliant Gil Kane there. And again, some more pictures in here. Absolutely brilliant picture ones there. Don't know what that one was, which film that was. However, I assume Escape. Yes, it must have been Escape. And this one was actually an unusual one. This one was Kingdom on the Island of the Apes story. That was a very weird one. Derek Zane, time traveller from, I don't know what, I do not remember that. Doug Munch. That story completely passed me by. However, then you've got Lawgiver is dead and you're next. Subtleties there. And the Power of Warlock again. Good old Stan Lee presents Rodan and the Hounds of Helios. Great stuff. And another one, Kingdom of the... Yeah, I remember that one actually. Saying that, I do remember that one. Kingdom. Not certain why they brought that one out. I suppose they needed some additional stories, so they brought that out. And, got a checklist at the back. Oh, I didn't see that before. Superheroes. You got Marvel, of course, Mighty Warrior Marvel, Spider-Man Weekly as well, Comics Weekly, Avengers, that was a classic story, Doctor Strange one, I love that. Dracula Lives, I love those ones. Planet of the Apes, of course, this, and Savage Sword of Conan. I think that was it. There might have been some others, but I don't think so at that time. Then they produced so many, I lost track of all the different issues. You haven't got a wildest patch yet. I wonder if people ever went for that. £1. Ooh, that was steep. However, especially when the comic was 8p, £1 for a patch. Well, I suppose it's very collectible now. If you got it, probably very super collectible. Again, Warlock again. At least it was consistent, the Warlock stories. Then you got Avengers. This one, of course, classic. Now, is that the issue? Interesting. Is that the issue? Now, that is odd. Because what you got this one. This is the Egghead story. So I can't remember. It was about issue Avengers 64, 65, somewhere like around about there. Why did they put that on the cover? That's from Avengers 100. And you've got Hawkeye, obviously in his very unusual there, and you've got Black Knight. Slightly confusing cover. You obviously got Conan there. Conan's in this because you've got the treasury at the back. Conan the Barbarian, 50p. That was brilliant. I've got that. Just love that one. And this one, of course, you've got Shang-Chi again, Master of Kung Fu. And again, they did the usual messing around with the covers. Don't think that was, well, I don't know, it might have changed. Might be the same. But that's that. And also the Hyborian page. How unusual. It was called Avengers Weekly, but they called it the Hyborian page. They turned around about Conan the Barbarian. And, they had two letter pages. That's really weird. Avengers Unite. Actually, I'm surprised poor old Shang-Chi didn't have his own Kung Fu Letters page. Maybe he did. No, can't see it. However, what you got? Planet of the Apes, Star Trek, just like your favourite TV characters, Spock, etc., etc. Palatoy and Bradgate. Another Conan one, and obviously Avengers. This one again, great little stories. Again, unusual selection on there. Brilliant story. I love that. Sluggeth. Not the Sluggeth, but the Sluggeth. The Mark of the Sluggeth. Barry Smith, of course. Just absolutely brilliant artwork. Love these stories. Of course, they came from the Marvel Premiere. To say, probably got it wrong, but Marvel Premiere, I think. And this one, a classic, of course, Mighty World of Marvel. Now, this was quite later. This was issue 80, but they were great. They actually had different paper quality at this point. And sometimes I didn't think it was so good. There was a lot of grey they brought in, which I think sort of ruined the sharpness. Because you got here, whereas if they've gone for it without that. And also you can see there, look at the way it's sort of, you've got those lines that are really not really very good. I don't know. That's the screen tone sort of on there. It's just strange. But that's what they went. They went for a period with printing, and also this sort of glossy paper. It was okay. I mean, I had no problem with it at the time, but I do remember it like that. But they just changed it because they changed from one style to this. Then also just finishing off now. So Guilty. I love these ones, and this one is from Strato Publications. They produce these, and unfortunately, quite a lot of these they never put dates, and you have to look online. You can find out, of course. You can find out this issue number 39. You can look for it. Justice traps the guilty, but it's just odd that they never included the date. But it did have other stories as well. So you had this one, Headline Hunting Hoodlum. Nice bit of alliteration there. So you have that. And Falling in Love, another black and white one. This is 2 and 6. 2 and 6, it was 100 pages. Not bad. And you had some really good stories as well. Probably from ACG again, I expect, or DC, Charming Romance, or Come Home, My Heart. So you had lots of great stories. And again, I suspect the same issue as before, but you had some great, look at that, Gene Conan. Definitely, you can always tell the artists, though, sometimes, not always, because I don't know all the artists, but you can see some great artists included in this. And this is from, showing it off as a UK one. It's actually an Australian one. How come? It just looked 2 and 6. I should have guessed it was an Australian one. Doesn't matter. Make mistakes on these things. Astonishing Tales, that's it. I have actually got loads of others, but it's one of those things when you just thought, you know what, I'm going to do a video and just going through it. Can't find them all. Probably tomorrow I'll find a whole batch of other ones as well. So, but this one's suspense. I love these ones, these stories. The Hangman, one stories, Astonishing, etc., etc. Captain's Ghost. They're all stories all over the place. A Man in Change Times. So you had some variety of them. Again, very sharp. You had like the Shield and all those sort of characters. They were great little yarns. And then you got, these are all Alan Class ones, of course. So that's run through of my very small, unfortunately, UK comics collection now for Marvel/superhero stuff. So I hope you found this interesting. Please put some comments below what you sort of think your collection, if you got stuff, did you keep all your comics? I mean, because I regretfully got rid of lots of my ones. I moved home and it's one of those things, you get rid of a pile of them. And I had a whole garage full of all the Mighty World of Marvels, Avengers, etc. And should have kept them all, but didn't. And likewise the Alan Class ones. I mean, I had quite a lot of Alan Class ones that I thoroughly enjoyed as well. Didn't have many of these ones, the Strato ones, the Guilty ones. Wish I bought more of those because I'm certain they turned up at various, because I went to the Westminster Hall Comic Mart quite regularly back in the 70s, 80s, and they were great. They probably had tons of these. I probably didn't even look at them, to my shame, but I should have done because they were actually quite good. Really very enjoyable stories. So they're definitely worth checking. You get some at comic marts, but not obviously as many as I would like. You know, they quite often you go there and you will find very few. But sometimes you can find loads and loads. And I know I've got a few because I've suddenly thought about one that's Kid Colt. Got a Kid Colt one that's that I haven't shown. But anyway, hope you found this of interest. Bye.